there wouldn't be these proxies in Iraq and Syria, or the ones that hit those military men and women in Jordan without Iran. And what did Biden do? He's got to start making sure that we show American strength. That's the only way we will get that done.
No new wars. I'm done with the military-industrial complex.
None of us want new wars. None of us want new wars.
We know where your money's going from, Nikki. We know. And we're sick of the wars. We want America first.
So that was Nikki Haley responding to the fact that we did find out over the weekend that 3 American troops were killed, at least 34 were injured in an attack that occurred on Sunday in Jordan. So we're still gaining information about this, but enough has been revealed that candidates like Nikki Haley and commentators are jumping aboard, many of them calling for the new wars that they swear they're not interested in. So we know right now it was conducted by an Iran-backed militant group or groups in Syria and Iraq. And so Biden has responded as well. You see Nikki Haley talking about all that Biden must do. Well, here's what he's saying, at least at this point. He honored the slain service members for being unwavering in their bravery, unflinching in their duty, unbending in their commitment to our country. Has no doubt we will hold all those responsible to account at a time and in a manner of our choosing. And so there are obviously concerns that predated this horrific attack coming out of the violence in Yemen, the strikes on Yemen, that we could be launching ourselves into some sort of regional conflict. And so there are some in the White House and the Pentagon that appear to be trying to reassure people that that is not the direction that the Biden administration wants to go in, that they are going to be doing some sort of reprisals, but that they will be more targeted. This hasn't even happened yet, and already there is pushback against any form of restraint. So you saw Nikki Haley, she can say we don't want new wars, but is she going to oppose them? I mean, if this goes beyond a few strikes, if this goes into boots on the ground, if this goes into a renewal of some of these conflicts, do we expect that she is going to be advocating against that? There's nothing in her history to indicate that. And it's not just her, by the way. Others that you can always count on to support wars, particularly in the Middle East, are lining up for this. So you have Senator Lindsey Graham saying the Biden administration can take out all the Iranian proxies they like, but it will not deter Iranian aggression. I am calling on the Biden administration to strike targets of significance inside Iran, not only as reprisal for the killing of our forces, but as deterrence against future aggression. The only thing the Iranian regime understands is force. Until they pay a price with their infrastructure and their personnel, the attacks on US troops will continue. Senator Tom Cotton said the only answer to these attacks must be a devastating military retaliation against Iran's terrorist forces. Anything less will confirm Joe Biden as a coward, because that's how it works. If you, as president, don't kill a whole bunch of other people and launch us into a war that will never be a threat to you personally, then you're a coward. But if you start a conflict that could result in thousands or tens of thousands of US service members ultimately being killed, that means you're brave. So anyway, Adrienne, I want to go to you. Look, something is certainly going to be done. American service members were killed, but we are already concerned about this thing suddenly roiling the entire region. And some people seem to be really hot for that to start sooner rather than later. What do you think?
You know, I think there are a lot of individuals in the United States who are just tired. They're tired of our tax dollars being spent abroad to be in wars we don't need to even be involved in. I think some 70% of Democrats are against troops going into the Middle East, and at least 2/3 of Republicans. And the thing is I just think that people are tired of seeing us struggle economically and in ways in which we don't even have the basics like healthcare, yet we got plenty of money for us to be in different places, telling people what to do and trying to direct and saying we are the guiding light. And I get that what happened is not, it's not something we want. Of course not. Service members were injured and several were killed. But at the same time, we do ask a lot of questions, or we have to, and people are starting to ask questions of, okay, well, why are we here? And to what extent are we going to respond by sacrificing not only more American lives, but on top of that, our economic status and our ability to provide for our own people, which is something we're not doing.
Yeah, I hope, as you say, I hope the American people are tired. They do. There seems to still be a hesitance to get involved in something like this that I think is sort of like, but it's born from the many years of Afghanistan and Iraq and all of that. I think that people are still sick of that. But the issue is that that's regular people. Like those in elected office, the Haleys and the Grahams and the Cottons or whatever, they look for every situation as a potential way to get us into one of these conflicts that will, it'll make their donors a ton of money. It's where they feel comfortable in politics. Remember, like when the strikes in Gaza began, and there were multiple US politicians saying, like, maybe special forces in Gaza, maybe even more. Like they would be happy for us to invade Gaza. And the thing is, like you have a section of the Republican Party that would pitch themselves as being anti-intervention, okay? They say America first. They say they don't want new wars. But very often they just don't want to call it a war, but they still want it. Like Marjorie Greene will say that she is anti-intervention, but she says we should fight the cartels in Mexico. That's an invasion. That's all that is. That's a war with Mexico. It's not like you just carpet bomb an entire region of our neighbor and then tell the government like, oh no, that's not you. That's just those bad dudes in your north. That's not how it works, okay? And the thing is, some of them might not yet be coming out like Graham and Cotton to be like, it has to strike inside of Iran. But they are going to be calling him a coward. They are going to be saying that he's not doing what's necessary to protect our service members. They're not gonna specifically say he should invade, but if he doesn't invade, they're gonna be trying to score points off of that because they're not actually against the idea of invading. Donald Trump loves to claim that under him there were no new wars or whatever, leaving out, of course, that we had all of the same wars that we had when he became president. He continued all of them. So he puts out this statement about this saying, 3 years ago, Iran was weak, broke, and totally under control. Thanks to they had been freed from the treaty. They had the possible, they could be developing nuclear weapons. Like he's just totally rewriting history. But regardless, thanks to my maximum pressure policy, the Iranian regime could barely scrape $2 together to fund their terrorist proxies. Then Joe Biden came in and gave Iran billions of dollars. That's not even remotely how it worked. This attack would never have happened if I was president, not even a chance. There were attacks and there were Americans being killed in countries of the region constantly. What are you talking about? But he doesn't have to make any sense. In his world, Hamas would have never attacked Israel. The war in Ukraine, I guess, would have never been invaded because he's so friendly with Putin that Putin would have just ignored. He wouldn't have done it just because he's got his bud in office. Doesn't make any sense. We would have just had peace. Instead, we're on the brink of World War III. So again, he's not specifically saying we have to invade Iran, but he's saying that Biden is a coward, that he is freeing them up to do this sort of stuff. So what is the alternative? What does Biden do to satisfy the many MAGA Republicans who are gonna see these sorts of messages and think, yeah, he is being a coward, he should do more. Again, it's pushing for war without even at least having the neocon balls to admit that that's what you're doing. If that's what you want, if you want to get us involved in another decades-long conflict there that's going to make billions for defense contractors, at least say it. But they're calling for it without admitting that that's what they're doing. Any final comment, Adrienne?
Of course, that's something it seems that our country very much loves to do, part of the gaslighting process. Say something is not exactly what it is, even though we know what it is by looking with our eyes. And of course, they don't want to trigger certain provisions of the rules that they have set in place in our laws if they want to actually initiate an actual war. It shows you how broken our system is. But to be honest, I think that's how it's supposed to function. I just pray that we don't take our broken asses over to another country and start killing their people, kind of just because we're bored and want more corporatism and capitalism.
Yeah. But the final comment I make about this is when they say things like, was it Graham? The only thing they understand is for, when has that ever been the way that it worked? Oh, we bombed this group and that's it. That's fine. That's why it's working so well with Yemen. We bombed them and now there's no more attacks on the ships or whatever. Like that obviously, that's why there's no conflict between Hamas and Israel, is because they bombed each other, and that shows that they only understand for. That's not how any of this works. And by the way, he's not a particularly intelligent person, but he's smart enough to understand that. No, what he understands is that we use force against them, then they use it against us. Like the idea that the Iranian government's gonna fall because we bombed them. The Iranian government that would love nothing more than their population to see like all of politics through the lens of America is the great evil and only we can protect you. Like, how much easier is it to sell that message if we're literally bombing the Iranian people? Like, the idea that he would be stupid enough to not understand that is just, that is a bridge too far. He understands that he doesn't mind that attacking a regime like that would buttress it, that would do its propaganda for it. He doesn't care because there's so much money to be made. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.